Hello, my dear friends. This is Kristina Mand-Lakhiani, co-founder of Mindvalley, and welcome to Honest Conversations. I am calling in from Estonia. It's the middle of summer. It's super hot, but I've lost my voice and I'm a little bit sick. So I hope you don't mind me occasionally coughing. I promise I will actually mute when I do that. And actually, it's not dangerous over the internet, so you're safe. And yes, thank you. Thank you, Nick, for reporting that you are in Chandler, Arizona. I'm in Estonia, Tallinn. And of course, you guys are welcome to interact in the chat section and tell me where you're from and if you're feeling well. I have my guest here, but I'm hiding her for now. I still don't know. I'm still puzzled if you guys see my guest before the guest starts speaking, but if you do, pretend that you don't. So I'll introduce my guest in a moment, but I want to just say that traditionally we are going to be having a Q&A as well. So if you want to ask a question of my guest today, hopefully you will, there's a Q&A section. I will not be able to pay a lot of attention to the chat, mostly because I'm going to listen to my guest, but also my eyesight is not that great. So do only leave, if you're not communicating in the chat, if you're planning to communicate with me or my guest, then leave emojis. They're much easier to register. But between yourselves, you can talk in the chat, of course. So all the household aside, well, we have people in Arizona. It looks like Arizona is the one which is awake right now. This is going to be fun. I hope it is going to be fun. So we'll see. So my guest today is Nina Verkoeyen. I actually pronounced it without looking into the way it's spelled, and I hope I pronounced it well because it's a complicated name, but I'll let you know who Nina is. But first, Nina, welcome on Mindvalley stage.
Hello, Kristina. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's not just me, it's actually a whole bunch of us here. And
yeah, I can see it's already 30 people here. Hi, everybody.
Of course, there will be recording traditionally, and it will be shared, but we do have live audience usually. So Nina is a psychologist, spiritual leader, and the founder of Meta Spirituality, an emerging spiritual tradition that supersedes the old New Age spirituality. Nina has been teaching spirituality, meditation, and yoga for more than 15 years. She appeared twice on the cover of Yoga Journal, New York Magazine, has been called the Teacher of the Month in Om Magazine, has presented her methods for mind and body transformation at Yoga Journal conference, and has been featured in numerous worldwide publications. Nina is the author of 5 books, with her major work, The Last Truth, currently being republished for American audience. So very interesting journey, and actually quite a lot of years in the personal growth and transformation industry. So welcome once again. And the topic of today's conversation is going to be exactly that, meta spirituality. And of course, naturally, I have to ask the first question. So what's wrong with the New Age spirituality? Because it does sound like you are talking about meta spirituality as something which is well, post New Age, or maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe we should start with definitions and just talk about what it is, meta spirituality.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. There's nothing wrong with New Age spirituality, but as I usually say, everything that was once new becomes old. So we grow as a collective, we grow, and the tools that we were using before on our spiritual path, they also become outdated. So certain things like things I call intermediaries, affirmations, rituals, prayers, there's nothing wrong with them. They were very useful steps forward. But right now, I think, and I believe that we are getting into a new phase of our collective development, I would say, where we are ready to have a direct relationship with our own higher self. We can call it the source, we can call it God, whatever the name we choose to use, but we are getting ready to be in a direct relationship with that, who we truly are, without using intermediaries, without seeing that which we want to interact with as something separate from us, without using middlemen to talk to that. That's what meta spirituality is about. It is about building and developing a direct relationship with source.
Mhm. I would assume that quite a lot of teachers actually do talk about also connection with the source. For
Mhm.
uh, for one, I think Neil Donald Walsh is the guy who talks that we are parts of God. But what was your journey? Why did you? Actually, I think I have so many questions that I probably will be asking like more questions than once at a time. So I guess the first question is like, where's this term coming from, meta spirituality? How did you get there? Maybe share your own story.
Well, honestly, first of all, this word is everywhere right now, right? It's kind of a trendy word, but it also perfectly describes the state that I want to bring people to, and what I'm teaching. Meta self is what I call the highest state of our own that we are all striving to get to, unconsciously or consciously, it depends. And meta spirituality is something that is a spirituality tradition that embodies all type of spiritual practices and religions, but transcends them. It doesn't exclude anything. It doesn't say that something is wrong and it's not working, but it sees all traditions, all spiritual traditions, as stepping stones to this more integrated and holistic vision of spirituality.
Mm-hmm. So I want to engage our audience a little bit. So guys, if you have come across the term, because I have to be honest with you, I've been in personal growth for 20 years. I actually haven't heard about meta spirituality. I've heard about a lot of meta things, but meta spirituality is something that's new to me. So if you've heard about that, you can use the chat and say, yeah, I've heard, or maybe it's new to you as well and you're curious. Also, if you have a question for my guest today, Nina, then please use Q&A section. I would really love to bring some of you up. And now back to Nina and back to meta spirituality. Like the follow-up question would be, of course, what is your journey into that? Because I understand, considering how much you've been in yoga journals and yoga platforms, I believe you must have a yoga background, right?
Yeah. I started with teaching yoga, which quickly, no, actually I've started with graduating from Moscow State University. I have a degree in psychology, so I'm a licensed psychologist, and I actually worked for a couple of years as a psychological consultant. But that quickly changed as I started seeing that psychology is pretty kind of, how should I say, like a narrower vision of reality. And in psychology, with all respect, but in psychology, we tend to classify people. We tend to put labels on kind of our personalities. This is, I don't know, this type of person. This is this type of person. So it's more like a narrower vision. So I wanted to go deeper and broader. So I left psychological practice per se, and I started going deeper into consciousness in general, meditation, consciousness, spiritual practices, everything under the sun, yoga, and all of that. My journey was very long. Basically, I would say from 11 years old, at 11 years old, I actually created my own first meditation technique after my mom came home from one of the spiritual gatherings that she attended, and where she was given a personal mantra to meditate with. And she was told not to share this personal mantra with anybody else because it's personal. And I wanted to meditate so badly. I never heard the term before, but I really wanted to try. And she didn't give it to me. So I said, okay, I'm going to pick my own word. It's going to be my mantra, and I'm going to meditate. So I went to my room, I picked a random word, and I started repeating it inside my head. And I got into that transcended state of consciousness. I absolutely remember this very different state of lightness, of expansion that I felt. And that was my first introduction to the realization that everything is inside us, that no external rituals, artifacts, words, practices actually have influence on us. Everything is created from within. And it doesn't matter which word we pick, which mantra we're being told to use. we have that power, that capacity within to transcend our own state. It's all us. We are the source. So that's how my journey started at 11 years old. Since then, I was trying everything under the sun in terms of spiritual practices and meditation techniques. I myself invented like dozens of mind and body transformation techniques, and I was teaching it for more than 15 years already. Went into yoga, went into all sorts of things, but I was never satisfied. And everybody would tell me, oh, this is just your seeker's mind that is never happy and never satisfied. We don't know what you're looking for. Just that's what ego mind is. It's never happy. But I felt that there is some missing puzzle that I still can't grasp and that I need to find. And I was so, determined to actually find it, to the point that at the very height of my career, right after the second cover of Yoga Journal, I quit my yoga and teaching meditation business, and I left to a small island and completely quit teaching for 2 years because I felt that there's something that is missing. That is something that I don't know, and I wasn't happy regardless of the amount of practices and the amount of hours I spent on my yoga mat and in meditation. Still, many areas of my life were not balanced. I still didn't see how the spirituality could be applied to my daily basis so that my life could actually change. And I left and I quit my business. And at some point, a year and a half after of not doing anything, I had that spontaneous moment of realization, enlightenment, call it whatever, but something that changed my life and divided it to a before and after. Mm-hmm. And that's what I called meta spirituality after. This is what absolutely changed the way I look at things. Mm-hmm. And that was this kind of a crucial point in my life. I call it my second date of birth. That was in 20.
What happened and what was the missing piece of the puzzle that you discovered?
This holistic, integrated vision of everything. And that knowledge that I received that day that came from the depths of me, it didn't come from something else. I've become what I've always.
But what triggered this transformation?
Oh, that's actually a very interesting question, Kristina. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't meditating. It was evening time. I was about to go to bed. But I was thinking at that day, I don't know what triggered that particular thought, but I was thinking what love is. What is love? I really want to understand. Is it some instinct? Is it our psychological desire to not be alone? What is it? And I was thinking so intensely about that as I was going to bed. I was just sitting on my bed. And then suddenly, without any practice, preparation, substances, I didn't use anything like that. After I asked that question, sincere enough, with enough intention and energy, I guess I got to that point where like, I need to know the answer. That answer came to me, but not in words. It came as a feeling, and I've become what love is. I suddenly stopped perceiving myself as a person, as Nina, and I perceived myself as my higher self, or as everything there is. The whole universe happened to be inside me. Everything was connected, and I could suddenly see the connection of everything to everything. And that's what love is. That was my answer. Love, God, source, universe. These are all synonyms. It's very difficult now to put it in words, but I hope you might understand.
Well, I do. I think I get the drift of it, but that, of course, logically leads me to the next question. As far as I understand, of course, I haven't actually done the research on the word meta per se, but as far as I understand the word meta, it means where you strip away the rituals and you look into the essence of how things happen. So how would you explain, how does transformation then happen, or how does this like reuniting with your higher self happen?
Well, for me, it happened. I think what actually was needed is, how do I put it in words? When I stopped using all sorts of intermediaries, when I got so disappointed in all spiritual practices that would work partially for me, for sure they helped, for sure they did a lot, but they didn't bring me to the point where I wanted to get. So when I kind of got very disappointed with all of that, when I realized that nothing external brings me the answer, or brings me happiness, or brings me what I'm looking and seeking for, when I stopped looking at the intermediaries as a tool that will bring me there, and I completely got disappointed in everything externally, then I was able to look inside. When I know there's nothing on the outside that can help me, that can provide me with answers, there's nothing or no one to look at, no gurus, no teachers, no external sources that I can go to, that made that flip. And I happened to simply stare deep enough, with enough intention, with enough intensity, with enough sincerity, deep inside myself. And that's all I believe is needed. The problem is that we are so clouded and we are so swayed by numerous practices, numerous spiritual ideas, teachings. We try one after another, and we get caught up in that. And again, no disrespect, I'm not saying that these are not needed steps and not needed tools. They definitely are needed. Without them, we wouldn't be able to get to look inside. But yeah, when you basically get rid of everything that you were relying on before and say to yourself, I want to get this answer within me. Not because I want my life to be better, not because I want certain material gains from that, not because I want that special person that I want to be together with, but I just want to know the truth of who I am, and nobody else can tell me that. Then this magic happens. I don't know how else to explain that.
So I guess we'll get to that, because of course I want to ask you more questions, but guys, I want to remind you that you can ask the questions as well. I see that you comment and you have questions in the chat. Please ask them in the Q&A. If you don't want to be brought up, Annie with us today, she's a sweet person. She's a great person, and she will not bring you up if you don't want, and we can just read out your question. But if you are willing to join us, then I'll be happy to see your face also in the screen. So leave your questions for my guest today in Q&A. We're coming back to our conversation before the, yes.
Kristina, I can see now there is a question from somebody, and it's a very, very interesting one. Somebody says, Mindvalley is also something external to us, right? This webinar with you is also an external tool, question mark. Do you mind if I answer that?
No, I do not mind. Yeah, but of course, this person could have left the question in the Q&A, but never mind, because the thing is that please do answer. But I want people, those who are in the chat, and for you, Nina, to also understand if person comes online with us and there is something unclear or there's back and forth, it's way, way deeper, the answer. So I would prefer you guys to leave your questions in Q&A. But yes, let's get back to. Oh God, I'm afraid I won't pronounce this name properly, but yes, let's get back to that question.
I can bring Zwang on because actually they had their hand raised, so I
okay, cool. Yes, thank you, Annie.
Perfect.
But we can pronounce Zwang. Yeah, good. So we can start answering. Oh no, the Zwang is here. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Yes, thanks. It was a great surprise. I wasn't expecting at all that you got to see that comment.
This is a beautiful question. Thank you so much. It's really interesting. And I want to respond. So we actually start the introduction to meta spirituality with changing the way we learn things. And what I start with my students, with my audience, is that I say that according to this new perception, according to meta spirituality, what is happening right now between us, not three, like 80 something people, you are not listening to an external thing right now. Actually, what's happening, you are talking to yourself. You've created this whole visual reality, visual scenario to bring up to the surface what you on the inside wanted to comprehend, to realize. So, and I start teaching people with this new kind of way to perceive me, not as a separate person, not as a guru, not as somebody who knows something that you don't know, but as a reflection of yours, as your own voice, basically, that you're still using me as an intermediary, kind of, but through that, you can still also understand that you are talking to yourself. You wouldn't be hearing those words if it wasn't your creation, because you are the creator of everything there is. And everything you see, everything you hear is basically you talking to yourself. Not in a crazy sense. I'm not, there's a fine line here, but I hope you understand what I mean.
Yeah, totally. Thanks. So what I understand through what you say is that the thing is not that I'm taking a course or not, is my attitude on how I'm dealing with that. If it's external things, if I think that, so this course on you is external, then I still are kind of searching in outside of me. But if I'm saying, so this is something that I'm calling to and I'm creating, and I can feel that this is calling me because it's me, who I want to be, then I get kind of a shift.
Yes, as long as you remember who you truly are, you are the source, you are the creator of everything there is. As long as you remember that, you can still use those so-called intermediaries, but they stop being intermediaries for you because you know you're interacting with parts of yourself that you bring back to yourself in this new perception. So you can still use all those tools, intermediaries, but as long as you remember who you are, it's fine. The problem is that when we're using those tools and not knowing or remembering who we are, then we create this separateness between us and the thing that we try to interact with God, with source, with our higher self. If we perceive somebody or some tool as a third person or separate tool, then we create this separateness. Then we forget who we are, then it's all not connected. As long as you remember who you are, it's fine.
Okay. And so remember who you are is fine, kind of a feeling. We cannot describe it, right?
Let's talk about it more. What do you mean? Let me try to understand you better.
Because to remember who I am. So sometimes I think that, oh, this is who I am. But this thing is kind of a projection of a lot of things. And finally, it's not really who I am. And sometimes it's really difficult for me to say, okay, this is me or this is not me. And sometimes I thought that it was me, but finally I discovered that wasn't really me.
Yeah. What we normal people perceive as us is just a collection of experiences that we had since the beginning of our life. This is what we call a character, persona, personality. The truth of who we are is actually different. So this is what meta spirituality teaches, and unfortunately can't just put this into you like immediately in this format, but this is what meta spirituality is about, and it's what it teaches, is this remembrance of who you truly are in I would say, in truth, in source. That gives you this understanding that this personality is your reflection and your manifestation in the physical world, but you are everything there is. You are bigger than that. You know, I always give this example of an octopus. Imagine a huge octopus. Its head is so big that you can't even see it with your eyes. It's much bigger. It's like a whole universe. But its tentacles and there's a lot of them, millions of them. They go all the way down. And if your mind, if your conscious mind is abides in the tentacle area, then all you see around you is other tentacles, and you perceive yourself separate from them, from other tentacles. You perceive yourself individual, and you have no idea that you are this huge octopus, and who you truly are is that big head of yours. When you bring your consciousness up, when you evolve, when you expand your consciousness, you bring it all the way up from the tentacle where it originally sits in this separation. You bring it all the way up into the head, into the command center. And then suddenly you understand that you are that tentacle, yes, but you are also all the other tentacles, and you actually everything that there is. So you understand who you truly are. It doesn't make you as a person not a person. You still are that person, but you're also everything that there is. And that's what meta-spirituality kind of makes you remember. This is a process. It's not a quick fix. And nowadays we're so used to, oh, let's do that practice and everything changes. Let's do that spiritual practice and everything changes. But this is actually a remembrance of who you are. And this is what meta-spirituality is about, to bring us back to this understanding and remembrance, to help you develop a direct relationship with that head of an octopus without constantly relying on third persons or intermediaries, so that you remember who you are, even if you are being a tentacle still and you're interacting with other tentacles slash people in this world, but you still know who you are in truth. And that changes everything, because when you don't perceive this world through the eyes of separateness anymore, you eradicate conflicts, you eradicate all the negative emotions, or the majority of them that we usually feel on a daily basis. When we don't perceive others as separate, we no longer can be, we no longer can hate them, we no longer can be super aggressive towards other people. Of course, we can still feel sadness, annoyance, irritation, frustration, but we will never fall all the way deep down where people who are caught up in separateness can fall, like all of us can, when we're not knowing who we truly are.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina, for a very thorough answer. And Zwang, thanks for joining us and for helping me preserve my voice a little bit. and yeah, for bravely joining us without warning. So guys, if you want to join the conversation, please leave your question in Q&A. I do have a few questions to Nina before we go back to whatever questions you guys have. So as a teacher of meta-spirituality, what is the method, or how does this transition go? And maybe you have a practice you could easily share with us. I do not know, because it may be more complex, but if there is a simple practice, maybe for people to try it right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, this is exactly about the opposite. This is not about practices, methods. So we eliminate all of that. And how I bring remembrance to people is through lectures, which basically start to chip away all those old spirituality ideas that are no longer serving us. Once we chipped away enough of the old beliefs and ideas, the clear picture of who we truly are presents itself in front of us. So it is more about eliminating what is a partial truth, instead of having a method of giving you, here you do that and you will get the truth. This is not how it works. And I know we all taught to believe that we can do something and get the result. And this is partially true again, but in spiritual matters, what we're trying to achieve here is we're actually trying to no longer depend on methods, practices, affirmations, self-programming, even meditations, regardless of how useful this practice is for calming our mind, for our life full of stress. But This is more like getting rid of everything in order to see clearly what's left. And what's left is the true you. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, Kristina.
Well, you did answer. So, of course, I have to ask, so are there any examples of the paradigms or the ideas in the New Age spirituality, since you were counterpositioning meta spirituality to New Age? I'll just stick to that, which need to be abandoned. And I guess I have to ask that. I'll just run ahead and ask this now. Your most remarkable book is Last Truth. What is Last Truth? Because you did mention truth here quite a few times.
Yeah. Let me start with this second part of your question. The last truth is this truth of who we are. And the last truth, when we eliminate all the intermediaries from our daily use, and when we know who we are without, let me put it like that. Our main goal right now, the next step of our spiritual evolution, is to know who we are, yet still stay in our physical body. Because the old spirituality taught us and believes that, or many different spiritual old paradigms taught us that body is a limitation for the spirit. So we need to kind of eliminate the body. We need to eliminate physical material desires, and that when spirit will reveal itself. This is not true also. And the last truth is realization of ourself as source, as God in the physical form. This is a very short answer. But to give you an example of the old spirituality belief that, for example, I think no longer serves us, this is a very common belief in souls. And I know it's going to be a very heated conversation right now. It's a very controversial topic, but when I received that knowledge, when I suddenly tapped into this vision of everything, of this interconnectedness, of no separateness, I realized that our belief in separate souls is a man-made structure that we created. Our ego mind here creates in its own image a vision of how everything looks on the subtle level. And it believes that on a high level, on a subtle level, there are also separate souls. Just like there are separate bodies here, there are separate souls there. Separate and individual from each other that interact with each other, have soul contracts, reincarnate, and so on. But when I received this new knowledge, this vision, which was very difficult for me to accept because all my life before I also believed in souls, reincarnation, karma, all these spirituality concepts, I realized and I saw that on a high level, there is no separateness whatsoever. So there could be no duality there. There is no duality. There is no individuality. So there is no individual souls that are separate from each other. There is just one huge, enormous soul that we all share. So my higher self is your higher self. And we all connect there. We all have one soul. We have separate bodies, but we all have one soul. So this belief of old spirituality, of mainstream spirituality, that we have separate souls that have contracts, that have prior agreements, it got revealed to me that this is simply not truly what is the case. And I had honestly a difficult time accepting that. My mind believed in separate souls. I was teaching that, I was believing in that. That's what my teachers told me. But in this holistic vision, I saw that separate souls simply don't exist. And if separate souls don't exist, then they don't incarnate or reincarnate into something. So yeah, like that's the main That's the main belief in separate souls that I think is no longer needed. And it actually prevents us from truly embodying non-separateness. You know, there are many spiritual teachers that talk about oneness.
Mm-hmm. So, you know what? Thank you. I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a coughing fit in between. Henny, I see we have quite a few questions coming in, and I would like to give people a chance to also join the conversation. So while you're bringing people up, I do have this one. Actually, I have more than one question, but this one should be easy. So, you've been on a journey for like almost like 15 years, and I understand that this meta spirituality is the latest thing that your current phase, or maybe it is the last truth, but who are the teachers in that area for you? Is it something that you realize on your own? Do you learn from someone? I think it's an easy question before someone else joins us, because it's not a very philosophical one.
Yeah, no, Kristina, this is what came to me from the inside on March 10th, 2016, 6 years ago already. And that was that missing puzzle that I couldn't find in any spiritual teaching or with any spiritual teacher before, or being myself a spiritual teacher, I was still feeling that I'm missing something. We all were missing something. And I truly believe that this is where we're all going, into this level of non-separateness. Again, many people, many teachers, many spiritual traditions talk about oneness, but they still use tools that provide and create separateness. And it's not that easy to explain in this very short video interview, but it's not a teacher who told me that. It's this inner revelation or enlightenment moment that happened to me and lasted for longer than a week. So for that week, I've been just writing down all the answers that came to me. Basically, that was a state where, you know, you don't have questions, but you suddenly see all the answers and you see interconnectedness of everything with everything, and you just suddenly know everything. So I spent this week of my life basically not eating, not getting out of the house, just writing down this new vision, because I had to re-see every area of my life again. I was like a newborn baby that suddenly got different lens, different eyes, and now sees absolutely every area of life differently. So it's not a teacher, it's not a teaching, it's the inner revelation that brought me to this understanding.
Okay, thanks. I want to ask Annie, do we have anyone who wants to join us?
I have invited 2 people, but none of them seems to be coming on as panelists. So maybe we can read one of the questions, which is been asked twice now. It comes from Kristina and Andre, and they're both asking, how do you personally connect and maintain your connection to your true higher self? So in practice, how do you do this? How do you hear that inner voice?
That's a great question. Thank you, Annie, for reading it out for us.
Actually, every question that starts with how, it's basically, it's not possible to answer, and we need to understand that. Every question that starts with how do you do this, especially in spiritual realm, I won't be able to answer that. As I started telling before, when you eliminate all those, I wouldn't use the harsh word fake concepts, this is not true, but partial truths that we all used to believing, then you start having a clearer picture. You start to understand who you are without that. Like I explained right now with the souls example, and in meta spirituality, I have this huge program, the main program, which is also called The Last Truth, same as the book that's coming out. So this is basically a course of lectures that sheds away all those ideas, old spirituality ideas, one by one, like, you know, like peeling an onion, layer by layer by layer. We start with perceiving me not as a spiritual teacher or an authority, but as your own voice. Then we continue. We talk about souls. We talk about soul contracts. We talk about karma, what it actually means through the lens of meta-spirituality. We talk about all things like that, and we shed away those ideas that cloud our perception of reality, of true reality, of who we truly are. And this is like climbing a mountain, like climbing your own inner Everest. You just step by step going all the way up until you see this full 360-degree panorama that you couldn't see before. And then what I usually say, that the true spiritual path actually starts after you've realized who you are, after you've seen this 360-degree reality. Now comes an interesting part. You start descending and you start applying this knowledge into your daily life. The main goal is not even knowing who you truly are. That's just part of it. But in order to complete the cycle, you need to be able to apply this knowledge. And you need to reinvent, you need to upgrade basically everything that you believed in before. You need to see, you will see differently through the eyes of unity now, through the eyes of non-separateness, through the eyes of meta, self. You will see everything differently in your life. You will see your partners differently. You will see your relationship with money differently. You will see everything differently. This is like learning to walk again, like learning to live again. It's a very different process. It's not a method. It's not a practice that you can sit and do, but these are lectures that bring you to the clear vision of everything, and then you start applying that, and that's your work. This is what you need to do.
Nina, thank you for this answer. If anybody I'm so sorry, my voice is being so tricky today. If anybody does want to join us later, we still have a little bit of time left, but meanwhile, I will ask some questions. And I know I will ask the question which you said just now you wouldn't be able to answer because it will start with a how, but I have to ask it anyway. So, so how does this knowledge of your unity or oneness with everything, how does this translate into practical life? You did touch upon that just now answering the previous question, but also you did mention that after you had this revelation, you spent a week reimagining all your life. What does it mean? Can you bring any practical examples? Like before, when I didn't think like this, when I was a separate tentacle, I did relationships this way or money this way, and then I did it the other way.
Yeah, right. Okay, so once again, you basically being reborn anew. You develop a new identity. This is what it is about. You're birthing yourself anew. And as I also often say right now to my students, that our life is a tension between your ego self and your true meta self that hasn't been born yet. You know, we're always talking about our true self, but it hasn't been born yet because we haven't lived through that yet. We haven't applied that yet. So it wasn't actually developed. We were not using it to live through it. So what meta spirituality does, it gives this new identity to you, this meta self. It puts absolutely new, I would say, not glasses is not the best word. I would say it gives you new eyes, and you start seeing everything through unity. For example, before you've seen your partner, your love partner, as someone separate from you. And because of that, you would get offended, you would get irritated or annoyed or angry when this person does something that you think is wrong, for example. But when you have those new eyes and you see everything through unity and you don't forget who you truly are while interacting with this person, you know that this person is your reflection, is the part that is actually you. And what he is doing or she is doing right now is revealing to you, from you, something that you need to understand. So you no longer perceive another person as somebody who is separate from you. And you know that everything that happens is your creation. So I would say that meta spirituality is about taking absolutely, totally, 100% responsibility of your life, which itself alone changes everything, in your life in every area. But this gives you understanding that there is no one to blame, there's no one to rely on, there's no one to look for support from. You are the creator of everything that happens. And make sure that you don't flip onto another side here and say, oh, it's all my fault. This is not how it works, right? Because we would say, oh my God, I'm the creator. How could I create such a disaster? It's my fault. So no, we're not gonna fall into that thing, but we understand that everything that happens is for the best, is our creation, is helping us. So it's not our fault, this is our creation, and we are the creators who create this reality, and everything that emerges in this visible reality is what we wanted to emerge. And we need to ask ourselves this question: why did I subconsciously, even not realizing that, why my meta self decided to bring this to the surface? What do I want to tell to myself through the voice of my love partner right now? What does it need to say to me? What does it teach me? I can say that. But also the concept of learning and teaching is what we re-envision here in meta spirituality. We no longer perceive life as a school, and life lessons as lessons that we need or obliged to go through in order to grow. But we understand that all life lessons we prescribe to ourselves, and this is our choice which lessons we go through. And each lesson will be stopped also when we decide that it's enough and we learned enough. So again, everything is our creation, and we are fully responsible for everything that's happening. And that changes everything. We stop blaming others. We stop seeing things with drama. We understand that this is all the game, the scenario that we play for ourselves, and that's for the best.
Thank you for this thorough answer. You see, you answered my whole question. I do have to ask, well, we still have a little bit of time, if there's anyone who wants to jump into the conversation.
Yes, so there's one question from Jennifer as well I wanted to address. I don't think she can join us now, but she's asking, how do alcohol, sugar, mushrooms, pot, caffeine, etc. affect the connection to the truth within?
How does it affect the connection to what? Sorry?
The truth within.
Oh, it doesn't. Nothing affects the truth within. It just is. But people can use different substances that will, with one individual, help to see the truth, with another individual will hide the truth. And, you know, people all over the world have been using different substances as a way to expand their consciousness and to actually see the glimpse of unity, right? But again, in my opinion, these tools are, again, intermediaries that we can avoid. They're not necessary. For some people, they might help in certain period of their life. With some people, it will actually become a blocking stone, because people can get addicted to substances, to all those intermediaries. And again, that will hide and conceal the truth of who you are. Because you rely on substances, you start thinking that, oh, this is what mushrooms are telling me. This is the mushrooms that doing that. This is, the power is in mushrooms. And that hides the fact that the power is in you. You are doing that, not mushrooms, not substances. So it depends. Truly, there's no connection between anything external and who you truly are, and nothing external which is just a reflection of who you are, can affect who you truly are. But if we are glued to those intermediaries, to those substances, to those rituals, to those whatever it is in external world, it can conceal the truth and make our path to realization longer.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It was a good question. To round it up, traditionally, I'm going to.
Chris, sorry, I have invited Zwang for one last question.
Okay, you guys have to be quick because I usually have to finish on time. But oh, hey Zwang, nice to see you.
Well, thanks. Well, I have 2 questions, so I let you choose which one you want to answer. Well, the one which doesn't begin with how is, I think that we also create things by our own, but we also collectively create it together, just like the war, just like COVID. Just want to have your opinion with that. And the second thing is that how can we separate or distinguish the ego spiritual? That the ego knows that, yeah, of course, we need to feel connected, blah, blah, blah. And so it creates kind of another kind of reality, but made by ego. And it's not the real spiritual things, the real truth.
I will answer a little bit differently. I will answer with one thing. How do you know that spiritual belief or practice or tradition is true and is actually helping you? Is you look at your life and you see if your life in those areas like financial life, love life, all of that, how is it there? If your spiritual belief, if your spiritual practice that you are doing doesn't change anything externally, then this is either not working for you or not true. The moment I received this unified perception, everything changed radically. I was already 33 years old when this knowledge came to me. Until then, I had maybe for some people a successful kind of career, but honestly, my life was a mess. I couldn't sustain proper relationships for a long time. I was changing partners. It didn't work. I didn't earn a lot of money. I earned just a little bit like any yoga or meditation teacher would. All areas of my life were not balanced. I was constantly getting sick with this or that. Really, right now, I get sick like once in 3-4 years. And everything wasn't working. When I got this new perception, new way of seeing life, 2 weeks after I met my husband, who I'm now married for 5 years, we're going to have 5-year anniversary on July 7th. I never thought I would have kids. I immediately had a kid that same year, like a few months later. And I started making a lot of money. Right now, my business brings millions of dollars a year. Everything changed, and not because I somehow applied or worked hard with mainstream tools to make those life areas better. Nothing changed, just my perception of things changed. I stopped creating problems in my life. I stopped avoiding the prosperity in every area of my life because I got rid of those limiting beliefs and limiting ideas that were the source of why my life wasn't working. And there are many techniques how to eliminate limiting beliefs, psychology, and all sorts of other things, but nothing truly works because nothing truly changes the identity of who you are, the core of who you are. It tries to reprogram your thinking and your mind, but you're still within the same mind, and it still creates problems. It still sees everything through separation, and this is what creates problems. So when you give birth to this new identity of unity, you stop creating problems. They are no longer necessary, and you stop believing that you only grow through adversity, through tough life lessons. Because right now we're all holding this limiting belief that we grow through tough life lessons. So we create crisis on the outside, and we create tough life lessons in order to learn from it, in order to grow in our consciousness. But we don't have to do that anymore. There are other ways. So we need to also stop believing in this limiting belief that we can only grow and evolve spiritually through going through difficult life lessons. And that's what meta spirituality is about.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Unfortunately, I will have to finish here because we do have to be on time. Zong, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you, everybody.
I traditionally want to ask people who are right now with us to leave a heart for my wonderful guest in the chat. If you're going to watch it in recording, do leave a heart under the video as a thank you for coming and joining and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'm going to ask the final question. It's my show. And the final question is, if people want to study with you, Nina, if they want to go through your transformation journey, how can they find you? How can they study with you?
Yeah, it's meta-spirituality.org. It's my website. You can simply go to my website. There you will find my Instagram icons and everything, how to find me. But on my main website, you can subscribe and you will start receiving free lectures and snippets of meta spirituality's ideas that will help you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my dear friends who join me every week. In August, we'll be doing twice a week, but only in August, because next week, Monday, we start our biggest event, Mindvalley University, which we haven't had in 3 years. So I'll be on a little bit of a sabbatical from these interviews. I still have an interview on Wednesday, so come join me again. And in July, I'll be still busy, still working, but just not doing interviews for a while. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. Thank you, Nina, for sharing your wisdom with us. Yes, and yeah. I hope you enjoyed your intense interaction with Mindvalley today. Yes. I know you've had both co-founders today.
It's a Mindvalley day.
Thank you
so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm glad. And thank you, Annie, of course, for supporting me, for being here with me and with our audience. And see you in a week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.